Okay, welcome everybody. How fantastic to see you all here tonight. It is 7:30 p.m. in Sydney and we are live with Celia Alves. She is in Toronto in Canada. So welcome, Celia. It's very early in the morning for you. It's lovely to see you.
Hi, good morning. I hope I don't seem too much of sleeping person
Thank you
at the
so
moment.
much
You're
for
welcome, my
agreeing
pleasure.
to join us at such an early hour for you. I also wanted to introduce you to Susan Wilkin here. So she is here and she's going to help us with the answering of the questions and the chat. So we've got a pretty big group here tonight, and we've got our chat panel down the side. So feel free to put any kind of conversations in the chat and also in the Q&A. If you have questions for Celia, please pop them into the Q&A and I will try to pass those over to Celia as we go. So just to introduce you a little bit to Celia, I'm sure she'll talk a little bit about her background, but she has a background in mathematics. She's a certified Microsoft Excel expert. She specialises in VBA and process automation. Now, I met Celia through the Excel circuit. So Celia runs a fantastic meetup in Toronto, which you've pretty much been running them every week since lockdown, haven't you?
I was doing that for every week for a couple of months, but now it's mostly twice a month.
Twice a month, yeah.
Every 2 weeks, more or less, yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. And with the time zone, it actually been working quite well. I've been able to attend quite a few of your sessions because it's early morning. So we're kind of opposite, like Sydney and Toronto is the complete opposite.
Yeah, the side of the world.
Yeah. Okay. So welcome everybody. You got lots of fans here. So lots and lots of people. I don't know if you can.
I can see some people coming in. Yeah, people from all over the world. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. I hope you enjoy the session. And such a pleasure. It's a blessing. Before that, the pandemic, this wouldn't happen. We would run the meetup only in Toronto in person, which also is nice to be able to meet people in person. But of course, we couldn't reach and be with, let's say, quote between quotes, with so many different people from all over the world. So I guess everything has its pros and cons.
Yeah, it sure does. Yeah. So you're going to take us through some advanced filters with VBA today. So I'll pass over to you. And yeah.
Yes. So do you want me to start presenting then?
Yes. Yeah. Maybe share your screen.
So let's see that.
Get started. Did you want to let me know when you're ready to do the polls that we've set up?
Yes. Okay. I'll let you know. And if you see that I forget, please feel free to interrupt me. Also, anyone with questions, feel free to type in your questions and Danielle and Susan will take care of that for us. And I'll do my best to reply. Let me go back. So share. Where did the button to share go? Sorry about that. Oh, I guess I'm dealing with different windows. Okay, there we have share button. And this one, and this one, and
yeah, great. We can
this
see
one.
the screen.
Okay. Okay, so thank you so much again. Good morning. Today we are going to talk about Advanced Filter, which is a tool that has been in Excel, available in Excel for a long time. And in fact, it's getting a little bit outdated now. Those of you who have Excel or Office 365, Microsoft 365, that's the name now, and are starting to use dynamic arrays, you will probably won't care about advanced filter anymore. But we will go there. So just a little bit about my background, Danielle already mentioned. I am originally from Portugal. I lived there all my life until 7 years ago. I was a mathematics teacher in high school. I did that for almost 20 years. I graduated in mathematics and did my master's degree as well. And after all that time, I just, my husband and I, we decided to move to Canada. And with that, I decided that I didn't want to continue to teach, or at least I didn't want to start a teacher's career from scratch. And I went on a quest to find something else, build another career. And long story short, at some point, I became an Excel consultant. It sounds like kind of a magic, but
So you just woke up one morning and you decided to become an
yeah,
Excel consultant, as
kind
you
of like
do.
that. So in 2014, I didn't even know VLOOKUP. Uh, Although I had been using Excel for 20 years, all my career as a teacher, I was using Excel, and I thought I was the queen of Excel in my school. At my school, at least I was the one coming to the meetings with all my spreadsheets and all my charts and colors and everything. So I thought I knew it all, but at some point here in Canada, in one of my positions, job positions, I just discovered automation with Excel, and I fell in love and started studying a lot and learned on the job, and that's it. And so at some point, everything was automated, and I moved on to another company and another other types of activities, and I've been doing that since then. So for the past 4 years, that's what I've been doing. That's how I do my I put bread on the table, is working with Excel. Some of the work is with VBA. Recently, I do a lot of Power Query as well. And I mix both things. I mix Power Query with VBA, Power Pivot, and all kinds of things. I do some modeling as well. So it depends on what shows up. Like Danielle said, I run the Meetup in Toronto for Excel. Feel free to join us if you see the topics are of your interest. There will be a couple of things happening this month and the next month. Okay, so today we are going to talk about advanced filter. One of the polls that Danielle has probably sent you is about advanced filter, and before that, in fact, is about the Excel version that you use. Do we have that, Danielle?
Yes, I've just launched it now, so I've just
Okay.
popped that one up. So
Okay,
that
so
should have
people
popped
are
up on your
going to
screen.
answer now. Okay.
Yeah, so I can see the votes coming in so that we can see who's using which version of Excel. So for those people who are on Zoom, you'll be able to, Celia would just like to know which version of Excel you're using, and when most people have voted, I'll share it, and then you'll be able to see it on your screen for those of you who are on Zoom. So we haven't got anybody that's on the older version. I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, it just makes us sad sometimes.
So we've got most people are using 365.
Okay, so so we're good then. So we're done for today. We don't need to do the session.
No,
Thank you and
64%.
goodbye.
64% are using 365. So there's still quite a lot of people on the older version, on 20 on standalone 16 or 19, or on the older version.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was trying to, I should have done this before. I was even trying to see, it seems that advanced filter is probably here since 2007. I would have to confirm that, but that's what it seems. What happens? I only started using. I'm just starting, like most everyone, except for a couple of you who became already experts with dynamic arrays. I'm just starting using them, and I haven't done a lot of work with them yet. Because one of the reasons is because the clients that I prepare the files to, most of them are in Excel 2016.
I know
That's what happens with the most cases.
Yeah, it's the same with so many people are still on the older version, and you just can't use dynamic arrays unless you're absolutely sure that everybody else is on the same version as you.
So when advanced filter comes in use is for when, and I get this type of request quite often, people have some kind of data coming in every month or every week, and the data comes, for example, with the sales from all the departments, or it comes with the payroll data for all the departments. And they want to separate all that file in chunks in a way that each portion belongs to a manager, or belongs to, is the data relative to the salesperson work, the results of that person, and they want to send each person's portion, and usually people do that manually. And it takes time, and then they want to save as a separate Excel file or as a separate PDF. Today we will do the PDF example. So we will talk about what is advanced filter. We have two options with this tool: filter in place and copy to another location. We will talk about these concepts: criteria range and extract range. We will go through a lot of examples, and including how we can filter blanks. So it's quite a powerful tool, and I've seen other people using it a lot in other VBA applications. So those of you who are interested in building VBA applications, although VBA is going through a moment now where it's getting replaced with other technology, but there's still a lot of things we can do with it.
Hey,
what else?
VBA is still good, still good, as good as it ever was. It's still useful.
Yeah, and we will talk about then a little bit of integration then with VBA, advanced filter with VBA. We will go through an example or two. So what is where can we find this tool? Who of you, there's the other poll, who of you have already used advanced filter or use it frequently, or were using it before dynamic arrays came along? That's the other poll we have.
Yeah, I've just launched that now.
I'm curious because I don't see, I haven't seen a lot of talk about this tool before. There's some materials online. I found different videos, and in fact, I will share that with you at the end of the session. You can have the file, the Excel file that I will be using, and there's some references there.
Alan Murray, actually, I don't know if you can see the chat, Celia, he says that advanced filter has been around for a long time, and it used to be the best way to deduplicate a list before remove duplicates, which was fantastic. And
exactly.
auto filter was limited to 2 or logics before 2007.
Yeah, in that time I barely knew what Excel was, so okay. What do we have?
Share the results, so you should be able to see who has been using the advanced filter tool. So lots of people have never heard of it or never used it. So most people, 41% have used it a couple of times.
Okay, some people, only 10% use it regularly, 11% use it with VBA, and now I prefer the filter function, of course. It's even faster. And it's dynamic, like the name says. The big advantage, one of the big advantages of dynamic filter, not dynamic filter, dynamic array, the dynamic array function filter is that it's dynamic. So you put the formula in, and every time something changes on your data, the results change accordingly immediately. While in with advanced filter, you have to go to the ribbon and find the button every time you want to run something with advanced filter. So that's a little bit of annoying, and that's why VBA is a good thing to integrate, because then you can make it dynamic somehow. So what are the advantages with the advanced filter? It automatically copies the format. So we have a set of data, and if we have let's say number formatting there for dollar signs, for example, for currency, any formats, in even cell the filling of the cells, the colors, all that gets copied automatically by advanced filter, which is a big help with VBA. So if you set up your data the way you want it to show after you filter it, if you are copying it to another location, if you had to do to program everything with VBA, okay, now I copy the data, but now I want this column this way, showing this way with this format, whatever. You don't have to do that. So advanced filter already copies everything. It also clears the previous results automatically, as long as we have the extract range correctly set up. It is not case sensitive, which can be an advantage depending on the case, but sometimes data doesn't come very clean. It comes a little bit messy, the same words, sometimes uppercase or lowercase anyway. So it can be a help with that as well. And it's an easy way with VBA when you want to automate things and you don't have dynamic arrays. It's an easy way of copying, easy and fast way of copying both only certain columns. You don't have to go and say this column, this column, this column, because advanced filter takes care of all the columns you want at once.
Yeah, John Hackwood just made that comment. Actually, he said that's one of the things that it has over dynamic arrays, because I don't think you can do that with dynamic arrays.
Yeah, I think with dynamic arrays, you will, if you want that, you will have to put different filter formulas in different one per each result you want. But don't quote me on that. I'm not, I haven't used dynamic arrays a lot yet. I played with it a little bit, but I haven't done applications with this for another user yet.
Yeah, it's one of those things you need to play with. Like, I've read all about it and I've heard all about it, but I haven't, I've been using it, and it's only when I actually use it on a client job that I actually really understand the limitations of it.
Yeah, and the power of that as well.
Exactly.
And it's like everything else in Excel, when you see someone else like Alan Murray, who is there and already presented a few sessions on dynamic arrays, and one of them with Toronto, an amazing session. It seems so easy when we see someone presenting functions, dynamic array functions like he did. Everything seems so obvious and so simple, but then when we are going to apply to what we need, well, then that's when we realize all that we have to learn. And it's the fastest method to copy and filter with VBA. If you have not so much when you do a loop like we will do at the very end, where we repeat advanced filter after advanced filter, but if you do it, if you didn't need to do it just once and stop and then move on to other things, I will show you some results that Paul Kelly did with analyzing different methods in VBA to copy data, and advanced filter is actually the fastest one.
When you say fastest, do you mean fastest in terms of speed of calculation, or fastest
exactly.
to build?
No, fastest in terms of speed. If you are working with a big set of data, it's the fastest producing the output. Limitations, you cannot do aggregations. For example, when you use a pivot table that you sum everything corresponding to a certain field, to a certain person, for example. You cannot do that with filter. Filter just copies all the rows from the data that abide by a certain criteria that you need to define previously. And it also doesn't allow you to, by itself, it doesn't allow you to update data in the source. So it just copies, filters or copies to another location. That's it. Then you could eventually maybe put some code to make some changes on the result and then go back to the source and change it. But that's another story. So it's not part of the advanced filter tool. Okay, so these are the results I was talking about. This is on a video by Paul Kelly, and I asked him if I could publish this, and he authorized me that. So that these are screenshots from his video, and he ran a test with 100,000 rows of data, copying individual columns or copying rows. And if you can, he tested different methods in VBA. And you can see the difference in milliseconds. This is in milliseconds. The difference between if you go for example, if you have a set of data, the most common, probably the most common way that people will do, the less experienced ones with VBA is, okay, let's go row by row and say for this row, if the criteria is met, then copy and paste, for example. And that will be very slow compared with if you do an advanced filter. And the advanced filter with programming that with VBA, we will see that at the end. It's just one line of code, so very little code. Okay.
Cool.
So can you still see my screen, or did I jump
you? We
you?
can see your Excel now. Is that right?
Okay, good. So let's jump to some examples. I will use this very small set of data, and this will be almost equally fast with a big set of data, but this is the way to explain. It's just easier to have a small set of data, and then we can compare the results. So let me just bring up something else here on my other screen. I need to, okay. So in this slide here, we are going to see what are the different things we need to define when we are using advanced filter. And we have a set of data. Usually I like to work with tables. In this case, it's not a table, it's a range of data. And we can find the advanced filter here in the data ribbon. And then here, I'm not sure if everyone can see that well. I'm going just to zoom it a little bit. So here in the data ribbon at the top, and then under sort and filter, you have this button here that says advanced. I'm using Microsoft 365. So let's say I want to find all the rows that are for the sales rep Mary. So I need to define one criteria zone, and I need to indicate where I want to copy the data, if I want to copy the data. So first, let's do just filter in place. Okay, so I'm going to copy these two cells, one with the header and the other one with the value that I want to look for. So I want to look for sales rep, which is the field, and Mary, it's one of the values of that field. This, the name of the field needs to match exactly what you have on your data in the headers, one of the headers, okay? So we can click advanced filter, and it will ask us, because I already used it before in this file, it's already guessing. So we have two options. We have filter the list in place and copy to another location. So let's do filter the list in place first. We need to indicate the range. It already guessed. This is the range, and the range needs to include the headers as well. And then where is my criteria range? So my criteria range, it's here, is only these two cells, needs to include the name of the field and then the value I want to search. We don't need it because we are filtering the list in place, and that's it. So let's go, okay. And it filtered in place. So we can see we have rows filtered here, and it filtered everything just to show all the rows that have Mary. So that's the filter in place. I will use from now on copy to another location so that we compare the results with our data. So copy to another location. Let's do now, for example, the same thing, just copy to another location, just to see what the difference is. So advanced filter, and now copy to another location. In this case, I want to indicate the range. It keeps going over there. I probably have something there. And copy to, and in this case, I'm going to just start with one cell. If I just point to one cell and I don't have anything written in there, let's see what happens. So it copied all the fields, all the columns, and at the same time, it gave me the result by only showing me the rows that have Mary here. So that's what advanced filter basically does. But then there's a lot more to it that we can explore. So let's see. Imagine that I just want to, I'm going to delete this. I'm always looking at my cheat sheet over here. That's why you may hear some pauses. Let me, so that I don't forget anything that I've prepared for you. So let me just clear this. And let's do another example. Let's say I want to find about Mary, but I don't need all the columns. Let's say I just want to know which products Mary is selling. So I can, instead of pointing to one cell, I can prepare the columns that I want here. And again, they need to match what I have on my data. So let's say I just want to know what Mary is selling in type of products. I don't need any other information. So data, advanced filter, and there's my data. There's my criteria. I want to copy it with another location. And now I want to indicate my extract range. In this case, it's just one cell. Okay. And I get all the rows where Mary appeared, and I get which product there was in that row. Of course, this would be a good situation to use that other feature that I haven't mentioned yet and that Alan was mentioning before, which is I don't want to see cap, and shirt, blue, right? So I can, this was in fact a good situation, a good example where I want to indicate everything as I did, but I also want to click unique records only. So if I do that, then I get all the rows where my criteria, which is sales rep is Mary, all the rows that have sales rep Mary, and the products that appear in those rows, and in this case, just unique values. So that's it. And of course, like we said, like we put product here, let's say I want product, and let's say another example now. Let's say I want to see, okay, what were the, if the sales rep was Mary and the product was Cap, give me the date and the quantity, for example. Date and quantity. So in this case, this is my criteria. I don't need to delete that. I can delete. That's clear. It's probably easier to see. So you can see that the formatting keeps being copied, and I won't worry about that much. But that's what happens with Advanced Filter. So in this case, I'm going to say my criteria is I have a sales rep name and I have a product name. Okay, so Advanced Filter. I want to copy to another location. That's my data. That's my criteria. And now I want these two columns. So I have two criterias at the same time. And I want to copy to this range, meaning that I want to extract both date and quantity. So in the extract range, I can put any of the fields. I can put them all. I can put just the columns I want, or I can just not put anything, and if I don't put anything, it will bring me all the columns. Okay, so let's do this. And I have Mary cap quantity 2 on May 2nd, and then we have Mary cap again, May 3rd, 7 units, and that's it. I don't have any more sales of this product with this person. So this is the basics about Advanced Filter. Now, depending on the situation, of course, you can play with the criteria as much as you'd like.
We're just getting some questions about the comparison to pivot tables. So,
okay,
because it's kind of similar functionality to a pivot table. So in what situation would you use this rather than a pivot table?
So the pivot table does aggregation. So for example, if I wanted to have the sum of all the quantities sold by Mary in 1 month, I could just put in a pivot table, we would put, for example, Mary, the name rep, the rep names on rows, right? On here, and the products there. And then I would grab, for example, the quantity field to the values, and I would have a sum. So instead of having a list of all the rows, all the specific rows,
you can still recreate a pivot.
Yeah, the pivot table is suitable to do aggregate. You will use that over Advanced Filter if you want aggregating, if you want to aggregate data, if you want to do sums, counts, averages, all that pivot table allows us to do. And if you want to show the results with your data rearranged by columns, by rows in different ways, right?
So
The Advanced Filter copies row by row. Whatever is in there, that's what it shows. It repeats all the rows that that go by the criteria that you defined.
So is there anything that this does that a pivot table can't do? I guess it's faster.
Well, this is like the name indicates, it's a filter. The pivot table will be, if you arrange all the put your fields all under rows, you will also have kind of a filter. You will have all the rows listed with all the fields, right? You will have the same thing.
Yeah, it's just it's a different beast, isn't it? Really, if you're doing it,
it's different
tool.
And the pivot table, you refresh it. If you have new data, you refresh it and you have things immediately showing there. With the Advanced Filter, you have to go again and click all the buttons again. And if you add new data to your range, you need to be careful when you repeat the action to make sure it grabs all the data, because this is not dynamic here, right? Unless you have a table. If you have a table,
you could
then
just use a table, couldn't you?
You could. I believe, if let's do that. If you put a table here,
does it work the same way, or does it behave a bit
differently? It will. Let's do that. When you do the range, even if you say, so let my table here, let me see what name does it have. It probably will be table 1 or something like that. It's table 6. So if you go to this and even if you type here table 6, And there's your criteria, and I want to copy over there, and they, okay. It's not, what is it? It's complaining about, it's telling me that it, oh, okay. So here's the problem. The message, the error message was the extract field is missing one of the fields. It's something is, so it was telling me something here on my extract range was not matching this. And why? Because when I typed table 6, table 6 is just the range, data range of the table, right? It doesn't include the headers. So in fact, if I want, and you see it reverted back to the range, it doesn't keep the table designation there. And if I want to include the headers, which I need to include the headers, like I mentioned before, I would have to go and put this. So let me put some zoom in here. We would need to indicate that, oh, sorry. Okay, let's do that again. Oh, here, okay. No, not good. So anyways, you can see it's table 6, and then between brackets, the hashtag, and then all.
Hash. Yeah, we can see that.
It means that I want to include all the table plus the headers, right? And now we can see that it's selecting everything. And now I didn't check to copy. I did filter in place, so it filtered the table in place, but it worked. So the tables are, using a table is in fact useful when you are using VBA. And I will do that at the end, because it's easier to program in VBA. If you want to say this range, you just put, like I just put table 6, and in between brackets dash all. And if your data grows or shrinks, VBA will always pick up the correct amount, the correct range, and you don't need to be programming, oh, let me find the last row and let me find the last column, and or just current region. There's different ways you can use in VBA to do that, but you don't have to do that. If you have a table, you just say table 6 all.
Yeah, I can see how that would certainly help.
The range will would be defined. Any other questions?
No, I think we are good. We've got, oh, hang on. Oh, yes, Ilga has a question. Can we use wildcards in Advanced Filters?
Yes, we will get there.
Oh, great. Okay. All right. So just, we've got about 20 minutes to go.
Oh,
so
okay. So I need to be quick then. In that case, I need to run.
Oh, sorry. We are getting, there are some other questions as well that I'd love to address. But don't forget, we're having the after party session afterwards. So if there are any questions that we don't get to address, we'll be able to do that there.
Okay, so I'll be quick, and I'll jump ahead of a few examples so that I have time to get to the VBA portion that some people may be interested in.
Do you want to do the poll about the VBA now?
Not yet.
Okay.
So I still want to show you a few things that you can do with Advanced Filter. One of them is if you need to filter by different conditions. Let's say I want all the rows where the product is cap, and before we put when we put two criteria like we did here in the same row, this means and. So we've done an and filtering already. This means I want everything that is both Mary, all the rows that is both for Mary as a sales rep and for Cap as a product. So if I want an and, I put my criteria, my values in the same row. If I wanted to say, oh, I want all the rows where the product is Cap or the product is shirt blue. I missed the, okay, that's fine. Then I put my criteria in 2 different rows. So this now means or, cap or shirt blue. So let's go advanced filter. There's my data. I'm going to copy to another location. My criteria, I can do, in this case, I put all the fields there. Anything that I leave blank means show me everything. I don't care about, I'm not imposing any criteria for those fields. So anything for client, anything for date, anything for quantity, etc., as long as the product is cap or is shirt blue. And I want to copy to that range. Okay. So in this case, I say cap, shirt blue, cap, shirt blue, and I get all my results for that. I can also work with dates. For example, let me see, let me say, let's see, I want all the sales that are before 2020 May 15. Okay, so advanced, copy to another location. Now my criteria is only these 2 rows. And I should not include the next row because if I do that, I will say, give me something, give me the rows where the date is before May 15th, or give me the rows of anything. And because it's an or, it will join the 2 results, so it will show me all the data. That's not what I want, right? So for my criteria, I want this range here and the same extract range. And now I have, if you see the dates here, everything, and I believe they were sorted. Yeah, I got all the dates before May 15. And with this now I can work with all kinds of criteria. I can combine dates, I can combine the different fields and add as many rows to my criteria if I want to say or this or that or that. Okay, I just need to make sure that I select all those cells when I'm running the advanced filter tool there. Let me see. Let's go and have, so here I will have some, I will work with the wildcards as already questioned. And also another option, which is, what if I want to indicate 2 dates? Let's say I just want a certain period. Let me delete here. Let's say I want all the dates from that are greater than May 10th and lower before May 20th. And I could even indicate the product just so that as an example. Copy to another location. That's the range. That's my criteria, and that's my extract range. Okay. So I have only the dates where I sold caps that were after May 10th and before May 20th. We could check the data in here. So this is to say that I can repeat the same field more the times I need in my criteria range area if I want to, if I need to indicate to refer to the same field twice when I'm putting in a condition of and. So that's another example. In terms of, let's say I wanted to find all the sales about where I sold shirts. So it doesn't matter the color of the shirt. I have my products, shirt, blue, white, red. So if I use the wildcard asterisk, I will get anything that starts with shirt and was sold between these 2 dates. Let's, that's not good because we already see that I only sold caps. So let's say, let's just put the shirt with the wild card as an example. So everything is still good, the same. It keeps in memory what I used last. And now I have all my sales for shirts. Anything where the product starts with shirt, I get my results put in here. I'm just extracting date, product, quantity, and sales rep. I could extract all the columns if I wanted to. So that's it. Another example. Another tricky situation is, but that advanced filter can handle, but it's not so obvious how you do it, is when you want to filter blanks. So let's imagine I have these quantities here and I just deleted it. So there's nothing there, anything at all. So what is my criteria? I want to filter all the rows that are missing a quantity. So my quantity is blank. If I leave it blank, it means the quantity is anything. So it will return me everything. I don't want that. If I put where the quantity is an empty string, let's see what happens. So there's my range, that's my criteria. I want to copy to another location, that's the extract range. And it gives me nothing because this is not actually the same thing as in there. This is an empty string and this is not an empty string. So what I need to put here is in fact just equal, and that's it. In this case, let's try. And there we have the results where the 3 rows where we are John, John, Mary,
Who
where
would
we
have
are.
thought? One
Yeah.
of those funny things, isn't it?
Yeah. In fact, if this was, then sometimes it depends on our data. Sometimes data comes from other sources and comes with all kinds of characters. So if I could have something like that in here. And if that would be the case and I put equal to empty string, that it would be found. But that's one of the ways of doing it. There's another way, which is like this, using a formula. And that's a very interesting way too. And understanding that method with the formula gives us even more flexibility with the advanced tool, with this advanced filter tool, which is I'm not indicating anything for the header. And I'm going to put a condition here that says this cell, which is E11, it's the first cell of the quantity field, is equal to empty. And ironically now the empty string will work. Don't ask me about that, it's just the way it is. So what happens if I put that?
Crazy.
Yeah, so it gives me false. So what this will do is it will apply this condition throughout column E in our data. And every time it returns a true, which we'll do here and here and here, it will grab that row for me and put it there. So if I go advanced, there's my data, copy to another location. My criteria, I'm going to say that it's this one, or I could say everything. I'm going to say this one only. And copy to that, and okay. And we didn't see the difference. Let me just repeat, maybe with some more empty rows so that we can see that it's actually working. Okay. So there's my criteria, there's that, and there we go. So we have my rows where quantity shows empty, and that's where this condition is met. Another example with a condition is, let's say that I wanted to see all the rows, and let me just put some quantities.
We just got about 10 minutes left.
Okay. So let's imagine I wanted to see all the rows where people made a sale over $200. So in this case, I can do some kind of aggregation, I would say. I want to see everything where this row times this row, I mean this column quantity times unit is greater than 200. So that's my condition. Advanced, and copy to another location. There's my condition. Okay. And I see, I get the rows, for example, May 3, cap, Ben, for Ben here. Ben sold over $200. 25 withdrawn times 10 is over $200. So I get a list, although I don't have a column that gives me the amount of the sale, which is quantity times unit, I can actually find the rows where the amount is over $200 in this example. Okay, so jumping to the VBA, I'm not going to spend time programming. There's the poll. How regularly do you use VBA in your work? And we have 4 options. I consider myself an intermediate or advanced VBA programmer. I have automated a couple of tasks by using the macro recorder. I've never used it much. And what is VBA? So VBA is a programming language for those who might not know. We have it across all the applications in Office, Microsoft Office. And with VBA, we can automate tasks. We can ask the program to do things automatically as long as we explain it, explain properly what we want.
Yeah, pretty broad range. We've got some people who don't use it much and some people who use it quite a bit.
Okay. I'm not an expert in VBA myself, although I've been doing a lot of work with VBA, but my background is not as a programmer. So if you ask me all these crazy things about technical terms, what is a method and what is the property and all that type of stuff, I may be able to answer or not. So I've been learning VBA as I need to automate different things. And that's how it has been. Anyway, so how can we automate advanced filter so that we don't have to be going to the button all the time? Let's say I want to find the products with caps. You see, I deleted there and I automatically got my answers. Product cap, these are my results. What if I want to find everything where I have sales rep Mary with product cap? There's that. What if I just want my criteria for, looking for Mary and nothing else? There's the results. How do I do this? So what we do is we go to the developer tab and we start recording a macro. We hit the recording and we I don't know if I have time, probably not. So we hit the recording and we do the steps once for any example of advanced filter. Then we go to.
So you just built that using the recorder.
In this case, some of the things I just use the recorder, especially those who have different. Do you want me to do that just for this one or not?
No, we can have a look at the code. I'm going to send
okay.
out the workbook so we'll be able to see the code. But yeah, that's interesting. So you just recorded it.
I recorded it and then I need to adjust it. It comes with a couple of things that we don't need. Yeah, it comes with a couple of things that we don't need. And in this case, where we want the advanced filter to work when every time I change something here, I need to. I'm trying to enlarge this, but for some reason it's not. Okay, there we go. It's working whack here. Okay. So a couple of things to have this code working here. When we run an advanced filter, Excel will, let me show you this for you. Excel will create some name some range names here. So if you go to formulas, name manager, we can see I have all these names created here. These are my tables. I have some tables in another sheet there with my products and my clients. But you can see that I have criteria, extract, and these criteria. So for example, I'm on sheet automate one. So if I sort the scope if I sort by the scope, I can see that automate one sheet has two named ranges, criteria and extract. These were created automatically by Excel when I did my first, the last time I used the advanced filter in this sheet. So I can actually use these criteria and extract named ranges in my code, which are referring to the criteria, and the other one is this range here. And in my code, what I do is, this is the code for the advanced filter, just this. And what I say is, if the target, I put this under the change event. So I come here and I choose worksheet, and in here I choose event change, and it creates me this macro here, which means it will operate every time I change something on this sheet where I'm working on, sheet automate one. And I need to say, well, if I'm selecting more than one cell, then just exit the subroutine. I don't want to do anything. But if I changing something into just one cell, then I say, okay, if that cell belongs to the range criteria, intersection is not nothing, so it means it's something, then just run this, which is the advanced code, the advanced filter code. So what this does, it every time I put something in here, let's say client Philippa, I hit enter. The minute I hit enter, I do a change in a cell that belongs to my range. It runs the macro.
That is cool. That is way cool.
Yeah,
love it. Love it.
Yeah. So if I do
definitely, yeah, love it.
Quantity greater than 2, I have, every time I change something in my range, that updates over there. Okay. And I've been using the copy of the results in the same sheet of my data just for the sake of this demonstration. But of course, you can have your data on a separate sheet and have your template in another sheet. You just need to make sure when you start the recording, you start from the place where you want the copy to happen. And then you go advanced data, you start the advanced filter, and then you go to the sheet where the data is to select your range, and so on and so on. You need to start from the place where you want the results. The last example, just running a macro here. What I have here is I have a folder inside the same folder where this Excel file is, that I called sales rep. That's the name of the folder. Sales reports, sorry. And what I put in the code here, just 2 more minutes and we'll be done. What I put in the code here is, so this is the portion for the advanced filter. I indicate my criteria range, I indicate my extract range, and you can see here that the range to where I am applying the advanced filter is my table. I have the table sales 6 and that hashtag all to indicate that I want to include the headers of the table. This portion here is what indicates that I want to copy to another location, not filter in place. So this is the portion of code for the advanced filter tool. This is the portion of the code that saves the file as a PDF. You can get this also recording and then cleaning the code a little bit. The only thing different that I had to change is
how I name the file. So I'm naming the file, putting the file in the folder. This indicates the folder, and then I'm putting the rep name, and then I'm putting the name, the month, year and month, and I'm extracting that from cell C8. And what I'm doing here is for each rep in my sales rep list, I will show you where that is. I apply this code and then I go to the next rep. So what I'm doing for each rep in my list, I grab the sales rep name, then I put it in this range, this cell. I run, this cell is in the criteria range. I ran the advanced filter, and then I export the results as a PDF. So let's do this. I have my criteria here. I have a list of sales representatives here. They are only 3. What I'm doing is go through this range, and for each one of these names, grab the name and do each one at once. Grab the name, put the name here, run an advanced filter based on this criteria, which is extract all the rows. In fact, my data now is in here. My data is in here, and I have a long, it's 200 rows. And for each one of the sales representatives, I want to export just what belongs to them. I also have to previously define print area. So here in the print area, you set the print area. I set a print area from columns B to F. And I also set print titles. So if we come here, we can see column 7 will be printed if we need more than one page for our report. It will be repeated, and the print area is set to be columns B to F. So after I have that, and I can also integrate that in my code, but I didn't do this today. If I click reports, it's doing its thing. Because it's publishing, you don't see it's showing up on my other screen. It's publishing in Excel, in PDF. It takes a little while. I forgot to put a notice at the end saying that it's done, a message box, but there's our reports.
Great, so that will just throw it straight out into PDF.
Into PDF. It could be Excel. I'm just opening one of them so that you can see the report, and that's cool. It. Just is it opening? Or okay, it's coming up here. Just a second. Things always get a little bit slower when we are on video. So that's the report we got. This one is for Ben. And you can see it took 2 pages. So second page comes with a header again, because I set that row to be repeated if needed. And yeah, just like that, we have the report for Ben and all the other sales reps. And then, of course, you could automate sending them by email. That's another thing you can put Excel to do with VBA, is sending emails from Outlook, for example, or even Gmail. So there's a lot of power in there. There's another one. In this case, I would probably add a few rows of code to clear my formatting that was yeah, because this sales rep has less rows, it kept the formatting from the previous one. So there's always these little tweaks that you can add to your code to make
it pretty.
Yes, exactly. And you could include a logo. You see that I also set up the page numbers in there, so you can. This is the type of work I do a lot for companies, generating these type of reports automatically from a big set of data. And they need to slice this, and sometimes it's huge amount of data, many files that need to be generated. If you are going to do that manually, by the time you finish this month, it's time to start the next one. So it's no good. So that's it. You will have this file here. There are my lists. Ironically, I have a dynamic array here formula that I use to generate my code, to put on my files, just the mock code and the dates and the quantities. So I have the dynamic array formulas there. And these are some videos that people can watch. I based my presentation.
Those are in the files. Fantastic.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes, it's some of videos from different people including one in my YouTube channel, and other people's work talking about not only videos, also some web pages talking about what I explained today. And here's my contact information for anyone who wants to reach out for any reason. Feel free to do so on LinkedIn. From all the platforms, LinkedIn is where I participate more often.
Yeah, and I definitely recommend your meetups as well. So
thank you.
Be sure to check those out also. So thank you so much, Celia. That was fantastic.